45 different symbols were stamped into clay more than 3,000 years ago. We can count every sign. We still cannot read a single sentence with certainty. The Phaistos Disc was discovered in 1908 at the Minoan Palace of Phaistos on the island of Crete. Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernia found it in a building near the palace complex. The object is small, about 15 centimeters across, but both sides are covered with symbols arranged in a spiral. The inscription contains 241 sign impressions, usually counted as 45 distinct symbols. They include human figures, animals, plants, tools, and shapes that look like familiar objects. The signs were not drawn freehand. Individual stamps were pressed into wet clay, making the disc one of the earliest known examples of text produced with reusable character punches. That technical achievement is only the beginning of the mystery. The symbols are divided into groups by vertical lines. The spiral appears to run from the outer edge toward the center, although even the direction of reading has been debated. Some signs repeat. Certain patterns occur in positions that might represent prefixes, endings, names, or repeated formulas. Normally, a script is deciphered by comparison. The Rosetta Stone carried related texts in known and unknown writing systems. Linear B was solved because researchers had thousands of tablets, repeated place names, and a large body of patterns to test. The Phaistos Disc offers only one short inscription in its unique set of signs. That is the central problem. With such a small sample, many different theories can be made to fit. A researcher can assign sounds or meanings to the signs, produce a translation, and find internal patterns that appear convincing. But there is not enough independent text to test whether the method works anywhere else. The disc was found in a region where other writing systems were used. Minoan Crete produced Cretan hieroglyphic and Linear A, both still imperfectly understood, while the later Linear B records an early form of Greek. Some scholars have looked for relationships between those systems and the signs on the disc. No proposed connection has created an accepted reading. Translations have described the text as a prayer, a hymn, a military record, a calendar, a legal document, a game, a list of places, and a message about childbirth. The range of answers is itself evidence of the difficulty. If one method can produce a goddess and another can produce a map, the translation is probably revealing the assumptions of the translator more than the language of the object. Questions also surround the disc's date and origin. It is generally associated with the Minoan Bronze Age and the second millennium before the Common Era. But because the object is unique, typology alone cannot settle every issue. A few researchers have suggested that it could be a modern forgery created around the time of discovery. Most museum and archaeological presentations treat it as an authentic Minoan artifact, but the debate shows how uniqueness weakens comparison. Modern tools can document the clay, measure impressions, and compare sign frequencies with great precision. Computers can search possible patterns faster than any individual scholar. Artificial intelligence can generate candidate structures or compare the signs with other scripts. None of those tools can create the missing evidence, a second substantial text, a bilingual inscription, or a securely identified proper name. This is why claims that the disc has finally been solved appear so often and disappear so quickly. A decipherment is not accepted because its translation sounds poetic or plausible. It must explain the sign system consistently, match the language and historical setting, and make predictions that can be tested on new material. The Phaistos Disc is now one of the best known objects in the Heraclean Archaeological Museum. Visitors can see the entire mystery at once. There is no missing fragment hidden in a distant archive. There are no sealed chambers required to reach it. The evidence is sitting behind glass, complete enough to invite interpretation and too limited to confirm one. Perhaps another stamped text will be excavated on Crete. Perhaps a related sign sequence will be found beside a known script. A discovery like that could transform the disc from an isolated puzzle into part of a readable system. Until then, the honest answer is not a dramatic translation. It is a boundary. We know how the marks were made. We can describe their order and repetition. We can place the object within the world of Bronze Age Crete. But meaning requires context. And context is the one thing the disc does not contain. 45 symbols remain visible. The language behind them remains silent.